This is Digidog, or rather it was. You have probably heard of it. It was a robodog used by the NYPD, the New York City Police Department, and it was recalled at the end of April after backlash and criticism. But why? Some people might think, oh well, that's easy, this thing is very creepy and unsettling. What if it is armed and it rebels against humans like in the Terminator? Well, it's not that simple, but let's start from the beginning. For those of you unfamiliar with this kind of robot, Digidog is based on Spot from Boston Dynamics. It's just that it's blue and not yellow like the typical Spot that we see in the videos. The robot was acquired last summer, and it was used a few times by the New York City Police Department since August 2020, about 6 times. And it was used in scenarios like, for example, assessing the situation with gunmen taking hostages. So the robot, with its set of cameras, could safely assess the situation and avoid the policemen from taking unnecessary risks. Now you might be thinking that one of the criticisms that might be posed to this kind of robots is whether they're going to be weaponized or not. Well, in fact, Digidog was not armed. The black thing that you see on the top is just a camera. In fact, it is the Spot cam from Boston Dynamics. And the robot was not intelligent on its own, it was in fact remotely controlled by an operator. When we talk about this kind of robodogs and weapons, there are in fact precedents also in the military. For example, in March, at the end of March, the French army used in some exercises the same robot Spot from Boston Dynamics, but also in that kind of scenarios the robot was not armed, it was just used for scouting purposes. So it seems that for the moment military and police forces are not interested in weaponizing this kind of robodog, which would also go against Boston Dynamics' terms of service. Sure, it doesn't have a weapon, but it's still a robodog and a robot in a police force. And this is a bad idea, right? Well, that's understandable, but police has used robots for several years, like for example, bomb disposal robots. But they're a different thing, you might say. Yeah, there is more to that. For example, did you know that in the Dallas shooting in 2016, Dallas in Texas, a bomb disposal robot was in fact jury-rigged with a C4 charge, and this C4 charge was used to kill the gunman. Yes, a robot that is not meant to be weaponized, a bomb disposal robot does not have any weapons, this kind of robot was used to kill a person. And it was in fact the first time in US history the police forces used this kind of robots to actually injure and kill a person. This case shows in fact that you don't need a robot to be weaponized, or you don't need a robot to be creepy and unsettling to actually hurt people. So coming back to Digidog, why the backlash? We're seeing that it's not weaponized. Is it a matter of cost then? Spot in fact costs quite a lot, around $75,000 plus $21,000 for the camera. However, the NYPD said that Spot is actually cheaper than conventional robots like the ones that they've been using for years, which range from $200,000 to $270,000. In fact, the criticism was rather towards the use of this robot and the public perception of this robot. The robot was introduced in fact at a time where police expenses and operations are under severe scrutiny in the US, and the relationship between the public and the police is very troubled and tense in this period. So a robodog like Digidog might be perceived as an example of aggressive policing and militarization of the police. In fact, in this discussion, context is key. If a robot were to be used, for example, for bomb disposal or for rescue, probably public perception would have been different. In the end, the NYPD said that the robot might in fact be used again in the future, maybe even a version with the famous Spot arm. So we still have to keep our eyes open and monitor how robots of the present and of the future are going to be used. But ruling out robots completely would be foolish. After all, in certain situations, better them than us, right? Let me know also your opinion in the comments, and if you're interested in this kind of videos, check out also the video that I made about Spot from Boston Dynamics being used by the French military in military exercises. Consider also subscribing for more videos in the future. I thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.